Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our review of the Power Book 2 Go Season 2 premiere. We are back. It has been a long time coming.
This video is not sponsored by RCA, but this premiere clearly was.
There was a lot of RCA. This is the most RCA that I've seen since like Radio Shack in like 1998. I mean, isn't this supposed to be a sequel? Isn't Raising Kanan supposed to be in the
That's
past?
right.
Well, we're going to talk all about this premiere, what worked, what made us go, because there's at least a few things of that, rest assured of that. But of course, we're going to be here discussing Power Book 2
Yep.
Ghost throughout the rest of the season. I almost said Power Book 2 Raising Kanan. I don't know what that is, but we
It's
will.
because Raising Kanan was so good.
And, there was even a teaser for Book 4, Force, the Tommy
Yep.
show at the start of this.
Yep.
I am so unbelievably excited for that, but we're going to be covering that as well. So hit that subscribe button, stay at the channel. We have Dexter New Blood, we have Succession. This is a very busy Sunday.
Talking about Succession here,
Yeah.
let's start this off with my boy Kane, who did not have enough screen time in this episode.
No.
I love Kane. I think he's a really complex character on this show. Like, he's such a tough guy, but he really just wants to be respected and loved by his mom, by his family. He wants to be part of the family business. He's willing to do whatever it takes. Yes, he's a little bit of a loose cannon, so Monet has decided no more with this. He's made a lot of decisions that she's decided to cut him out. But there is some comparisons here to what is going on over on Succession. If you're not watching that show, it is really good.
Yeah.
It's it's also about powerful family, and Roman, one of the, grown kids over there, is sort of having the same issue where he really wants to impress his dad. He wants the love and respect of his dad, but he just cannot get it no matter what he does. And it feels very similar to what Kane is going through, especially when we see in this episode Drew and Diana kind of like, we want to go our own way, we want to do our own thing, we want to be who we're gonna be. And then we got Kane who's kind of like, let me back in, let me in, I've got a new connect, I'm ready to help, I'll do anything. Oh, it really hurts my heart.
Kane is the meme of the like guy standing outside the walls just like screaming, "Let me in." And listen, Kane, this is the weird thing. You are somebody who has just done these unspeakably bad things, and yet here I am weirdly rooting for you. I don't know if this says something.
I'm rooting for him.
Okay.
I'm so invested in Kane.
Kane is probably I do agree Kane's probably the best thing in this show, and
Yeah, I love him.
Kane's whole attempt here to prove that, see how valuable I am.
Yes.
It involves going to Mecca, who I'm guessing is going to be sort of like a new big bad kind of figure this season, and trying to sort of prove himself to this guy so he can come back to Monet and be like, look at my connect. It's just sort of like, Kane, I got love for you, but at the same time, shouldn't vetting the new connect be sort of a group project as opposed to take my word for it that this guy who you don't know is A-okay?
I think Kane is just in such a difficult position because Monet is not listening to him, has changed the locks, won't take his calls. Like, he is just out in the cold. Kane really does feel like he needs to go that extra mile to get this together for his mom, because he's in a really desperate position. He wants to be back with the family. He didn't just lose his job, he's lost his family.
I think the troublesome spot that I think Power Book 2 has itself in this premiere is that the Kane stuff is fantastic. They could have used a little bit more of that. I think the biggest issue,
Always more Kane.
always more Kane, and that would be just fine. But there's so much going on in this episode that I think the premiere, it felt a little bit scattershot. And I think the other thing is, now that we've seen Raising Kanan and we know like how good these spin-offs / prequels can be, it has sort of like elevated the level of the Power franchise like all the way up to here. I think Ghost right now is somewhere kind of in the middle where it's got things that are really working and things that aren't. And now unfairly I compare it to Raising Kanan, which was just so unbelievable.
Yeah, it's unfair to compare them. They are very different shows. And Raising Kanan, I mean, it came out as like a 10 out of 10 right away, all season long. I think Power Book 2, the first season, it needed time to find its footing. It needed to get rid of the Jabari storyline, and it has.
Yeah.
And now the death of Jabari, now in season 2, is raising the bar for Power Book 2 for me. I think that this storyline is going to be really interesting. Already, you know, the body has been found. Tariq made a mistake, which is really nice, because that was one of the things that I loved about Raising Kanan is Kanan was making mistake after mistake after mistake. And that made sense. He's new to the game. He doesn't know what's going on. He's still learning. He's trying things on his own. He just doesn't know what's going on. That's what I wanted to see with Tariq. And I know Tariq got some training from Tasha, but it wasn't that much. Yeah. He should be making mistakes. He should be still trying to find his footing. And he made a mistake in the premiere, and it was a big one.
Yeah, I like that this happened, but I really like the justification as to why it happened. So throughout this episode, we see that Tariq, he's desperate to get in touch with Tasha, to sort of have Tasha around. Because, I mean, this is one of the few touchstones that he's really had in his life, especially since Ghost is gone. So it's understandable that he would want this. And when he sees, like, an unknown caller on his phone, on this phone, he's, like, inevitably...
Sponsored by RCA.
Like, he is so down this hole trying to figure out, okay, you know, maybe this is her. And then he picks it up and it's like, oh no, this is the police. I mean, I love the thing just of like ripping the phone apart. He realizes how badly he screwed up right away, but it's understandable why he did.
Yes, and this is the type of investment that I really needed in Tariq. I need him to not just be great at everything. He's made a mistake. He can't get in touch with his mom now, so she can't even figure out ways to bail him out. And he doesn't want to talk to Monet about what's going on. He straight up lied to her about his involvement with Jabari and Kane's involvement with Jabari. Yeah. So he's really on his own with a lot of this. And I think that the Jabari storyline's gonna get good, because Tariq is in a really bad situation. I think that Carrie's actually in a really bad situation too. And it's good because it's moving her story away from just, she's like this love addict and she's just got all these, you know, men that she's with. And there wasn't enough sort of meat on that bone here, and now there's this idea that maybe she's going to be somebody the police are circling, because what the police have figured out is that it is somebody at the school. So I'm wondering if we're kind of going in that direction where Tariq is going to find a way to set up Carrie to take the fall.
I think I don't want to say it's inevitable, but it feels like it could be inevitable, because it makes so much sense. Like, she's got this pre-existing romantic history with him. The police already know that she has a pre-existing relationship that's there.
Yeah, and I think the police already, where they're kind of like, oh, we found Ramirez's gun. Well, it's obviously not him. Like, he's a cop. He's just gonna kill somebody and drop his gun there. Like, no, it's so obvious.
The part of this episode where I was just like, Carrie, no, was the whole, you know, oh, I'm meeting up with my old friend, you know, this is going to be great. We're going to like, you know, it's never going to work out like this. And the moment he's like, actually, can we go somewhere else to meet? I was like,
I'm just going to take you down the block to the morgue. I hope that's all right.
You look, this isn't romantic at all. Like, that was just a total okay. See, this stuff with Tariq in college is compelling to me. I know we had to get Tariq in college to really have this Jabari thing sort of pay off on some level. But I could care less about any of these scenes, or these classroom scenes where they're trying to like beat the dead horse of like the constant, oh, here's the thematic content of this episode. We're going to have all of these students say like generic student banter where they're going back. It's just, the writing isn't great in those scenes. They're plotting. They don't go anywhere.
Yeah, what I really got out of the scenes, because that's really what it is. I know the show is trying to balance his school life,
Yeah.
his romantic life, which I'm not that invested in, except for Diana, but not for Lauren. I'm Team Diana. Anyways, in general, it just isn't really kind of going anywhere. But the thing about Tariq and his storyline, which is going somewhere that's starting to get into like a 10 out of 10 for me, is that he is starting to feel just something about killing his dad. Now, I'm not saying he didn't ever feel anything, but he's really being haunted by this now. After killing Jabari, he is having sort of these flashbacks of when he killed his dad, and we got to see Ghost back on the show, which was cool. And it's nice to see that he's actually being haunted by some of the stuff that he's done. He's not just like a straight out sociopath where he feels nothing, because that's not who he is. He does care.
I think in his mind, he wants to think that he can just turn that humanity off and go about his business and do sort of what he needs to be done. And I think some of that is because he was trained by Kanan. And I think that Tariq's sort of perception of Kanan in his head, let's put it this way. Tariq hasn't watched Raising Kanan. Tariq doesn't realize that Kanan made so many mistakes and he was emotionally traumatized by a lot of them. He thinks that Kanan was this kind of like cold, heartless killer who could do what needs to be done. And he's struggling, I think, with the fact that he can't be that. And I think he is sort of like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? Why can't I have it all?
Speaking of Raising Kanan, I really want to see somebody from that show show up either this season or next season, because Kanan was so important in Tariq's life, like you said, so important that seeing somebody from Kanan's past or family, we don't know the status of Lulu, Marvin, some of the, we know Jukebox, but there are still people that are a question mark out there, including Kanan's mom, because in Power Book 1, we know that Kanan did say, I just came back from visiting my mom. And there's a lot of people out there that feel like it was her grave, and it could be. Or maybe she's out there, because who doesn't want to see a scene with Monet and Rock? I do.
We all do. See,
no, what I really want to see is someone from Kanan's life with Tariq, sort of bringing him on another path. I just think it would be a really nice connection, because Kanan was so important to Tariq.
I like the idea of Rock so much more than the idea of Detective Burke, which was sort of the hill I died on during Raising Kanan, just because it felt the most realistic. Listen, Rock would be a lot more fun. Speaking of things, though, that should be fun, but I don't know if I'm fully there on it yet. See, Kane is your guy. I don't necessarily like this about myself, but Rashad Tate is kind of my guy.
I know he is your guy. Okay, so we saw that Tate lost the governor race, and now he's trying to become a congressman. And the way that he's going about it is he wants to find some dirt on Congressman Sweeney, who is just such a tool bag. Yeah. Oh my God. And I had never really been rooting for Tate, but I am rooting for Tate right now.
Well, yeah, because everything we saw at the, at the whole rich people summit with Braden and Braden's family and the Sweetney guy going on and on about all of his just like, oh, this is so great that you're here, and just like totally like condescending Tariq in every single way. And
condescending to everybody, but he was really condescending to Tariq. It was uncomfortable to watch.
It was really, really uncomfortable and offensive. And this guy sucks. And so, you know what, Tariq? New York can lead the way if it means that you find a way to get into power, but also, aren't you supposed to have your own show, Tate? Like, don't get me wrong. Yeah. I love Lorenz Tate, but it's just sort of like, what are you guys doing? We have not heard a single thing about Power Book 5, which was supposed to be Power Book 4, by the way, months ago.
Okay, speaking of Braden's family and Braden, please don't have Tariq hook up with the sister. Like, there was a little bit of something going on. I am not having it. I'm Team Diana. I already said that earlier, but I still am on Team Diana. There's just such good chemistry there. But The story of Brayden and him being on this path where he really doesn't want to just be set up to be the next sort of mini version of his dad,
Yeah.
and that he doesn't want the life that's been laid out for him already, really mirrors what Tariq was going through as well during Power, where his parents sort of had this idea of where he was going to be and the route he was going to take. And he said, no, I'm not doing that. I want to do something else. This is who I actually am in my heart, and you can't stop it. And it's nice to see sort of his best friend is now just starting that same path that Tariq has already been on, and who understands it. There's a lot of that going on in this episode. Because Drew and Diana are going through that too, where they're kind of like, we don't want to follow Zeke around while he has a basketball career. We want to do something else.
There are a lot of interesting parallels throughout this episode. And for Brayden, listen, I was initially kind of not that big on Brayden at the start of season 1.
How dare you?
It's because he felt like too much of just like the generic friend exposition character who was like, oh, so you're doing this. And like every comment he had was sort of a question reinforcing what Tariq was doing.
It's true. He's grown.
He's grown. I really like him now. I think he's interesting. I think his backstory is really, really fun to dive into because he's a part of this like horrible family that he wants to rebel against. By the way, how is Trace still alive? Like, this dude should have died last season.
Yeah, but he's also such a tool bag. It's good to have people like that around so that Brayden can continue to push to be better than this. Okay, so speaking of family, we also saw Yaz, and we saw their grandmother, and their grandmother is battling addiction really hard. Yaz is sort of left to her own devices a lot. She's burning down the kitchen, trying to, cook food, get things together. Are we going to see Yaz by the end of this season under the guardianship of Tariq?
I'm curious about it. I would like to see more of Yaz in general, just because Yaz is the character who Power just like sends away every season, and then we just sort of forget about her.
Yeah.
And from what I think Courtney Kemp has said in the past, like the big reason they haven't really included Yaz all that much is because she's so young that it just didn't feel right to have her sort of inserted in this world of chaos and crime and all. But she's getting a little bit older now. She's able to sort of comprehend the world around her a little bit more. I would be down for seeing her maybe at least a few more times a season if we have more to her character behind, other than her just trying to burn down the kitchen.
Okay, let's talk about your boy Sax.
Oh boy.
And Davis. So things are getting more interesting over here. We saw at the end of last season, Davis and Sax were kind of like, let's pair up. Let's take down Tariq. Yeah. But it seems like Davis has an ulterior motive for this as well.
Listen, okay, first of all, why is Sax gotta be my boy? Wait, I think I coined Sax as my boy.
You have been coining him as your boy since Power.
Sax, this is the thing with Sax. It's like, somebody's gotta love you. If nobody else is gonna do it, it might as well be me.
Oh,
it's sort of like, you see like the one weird like dog that's at the adoption center that's acting up and being a jerk to all the other dogs. It's like, somebody's gotta love you. Okay, Sax, here's the thing. You're just going to be used. You're not Davis doesn't care about you because Davis doesn't care about anyone. The only thing we've established from Davis in this episode is that he cares about sleeping with people, and he also cares about getting on talk shows, including randomly a real-life Soledad O'Brien right in the middle of this episode.
He also cares about money. Let's not pretend like that's not a thing.
Yeah. His whole idea now is, Tariq is in trouble. Let's just slow play all of this and collect money from Tariq at every possible opportunity. I have this image in my head of Davis just sort of being like, hello, Tariq. I am on the clock. If you do this during this season, I will die laughing.
Yeah, and so we also have this new sort of storyline where his brother is in jail and he thinks that somehow Sax is going to be the golden goose that gets him out.
Yeah, and I guess Sax has experience. I will say this. However, since when did Sax actually...
Davis also has experience.
When has Sax ever done anything right? That's the biggest problem that I have with Davis's plan here. You are trusting this guy with his like weird, obnoxious face. And by the way, What can we grade that outfit that Davis had Sax wearing where he was supposed to look cool?
Well, to be fair, it was still just in the tailoring stage, so that's why it looked like that. It was inside out because they were just tailoring it.
Listen, I don't get things tailored well enough. I don't know all of this. All I saw was Saxy looked terrible in that outfit. I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah.
Also, I really just hope this is going somewhere other than just, okay, we're gonna take money from Tariq. Because right now, like, I like Sax, I like Tate, or at least I like watching Sax. I like watching Tate. I do not want to hang out with these people, but
No. Overall, though, I think this was a really good premiere. I like this quite a bit. It feels like the death of Jabari has brought in a lot of really solid storylines.
I think there is a lot of solid stuff. There's a lot of stuff with potential. I just think there's too much going on, and that's sort of where I am with it. And I'm just like, why doesn't Tate have his own show at this point? I kind of like Zeke, but he just sort of feels like added on to everything else. So hopefully, Power Book 2, you will make the whole picture make sense to us. But we want to know from you guys. What did you think of the Power Book 2 Go Season 2 premiere? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Did you like it more than Sax's outfit? Share in the comments. Also, subscribe, hit that like button. We'll see you here next time.